Ford dealerships right now have an oversupply of inventory sitting on their lots. And in the face of potentially rising prices in the car market, and in the middle of all of this uncertainty that's happening right now in the car market, what have they decided to do? Well, they have spent a ton of money advertising that they're actually going to be lowering their prices. And this is in the form of employee discounting for the average consumer.
Ford Motor Company giving all customers their employee discount even as prices are expected to rise.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to dig in a little bit. I want to actually talk to a Ford GM.
And so we try not to view anything transactionally. It's more relationship based. And I think, we've been around a long time. We've been around 112 years. And
to see what this means for you as a consumer and if he actually thinks it's going to help Ford's situation right now. All right, so can you explain to me exactly what's going on with these discounts now? It seems very, very weird for in the face of tariffs, in the face of price increases, that Ford is now advertising that we're going to be lowering prices. Can you just walk me through what this employee discount actually means? Maybe tell me what it's going to be versus invoice, MSRP. What can a customer expect when they walk into your dealership and say, hey, I heard about this employee discount. What does it mean for me?
Great question, Brandon. We were surprised by it too. So it was a little bit of a contrarian move. And I think Ford's probably trying to capture on the fact that they're the most American made, most American employed OEM, right? So they got the most Ford factory workers in the US. They got making the most cars. And then you got a big question about whether things are assembled here or made here if we go into the tariffs a little bit deeper. But for us and what our customers, it means there's typically a discount from MSRP to invoice. Invoice is what we dealers pay for the car. And then a plan is typically 3, 4, 5%, even depending on the model line, cheaper than that invoice price. And so they reimburse us to sell the car at that number. But say an A plan or a current Ford employee comes in to buy a car from us, they got to have a PIN, and that price is printed right on the invoice. And I can send you an invoice that you can put up on the show for everybody to see. But typically that can be on a Maverick, it's a little bit less. On an F-150, it may be a little bit more. I've got one right here, but on a $52,000 MSRP F-150, A plan's $48,281. My invoice is $50,000. And MSRP on a Maverick might be $30,000. A plan's going to be $29,250. So there isn't as big of a spread between the two. That's because they don't have as much dollars to play with.
So I've got a question with you, and this is something I've kind of been wrestling with, going through what these plans mean, because right after Ford did it, Stellantis, same thing. And I actually went to a Jeep, Dodge, and Ram dealership this morning to really ask them. I've got a dealership I go and record at a lot, go in there, talk to a salesperson, talk to one of their sales managers, and looked at a $40,000 Jeep Wrangler. And what they have is okay, for their employee pricing, it's 2% back of invoice. So on this $40,000 vehicle, their invoice price is like $38,000, and then they get 2% off that. But what this sales manager said to me is that the employee discount that they're actually rolling out is actually more expensive than the rebates they already put into place. So that $40,000 Wrangler with the employee discount or whatever, it was like 37 something. And then with the actual rebates that they already had in place, it was $36,000. So It was cheaper to do that. So the employee pricing actually made the vehicle more expensive in this case. But one thing I want to kind of push you on and just hear your comment on this is that when I'm looking at brands like Jeep, Dodge, and Ram that have inventory issues, when I'm looking at Ford, and from what Ford has said, 103-day supply of inventory on dealer lots, which is more than what dealers would want to have. We know the sweet spot is 50 to 70 days, depending on which dealership you're talking to. But when we see that, I've also seen deals come out of Ford dealerships, negotiated deals that come out of Jeep, Dodge, and Ram dealerships that are 15, 20% off MSRP. And when consumers can go in and negotiate for that before even the employee discounting dropped, that was in a lot of cases a better deal than what this employee pricing is rolling out. And my question to you is, for these dealers that are going into the plans, is it going to be a very similar price, or even what's the difference in price between what a customer could have negotiated before these deals and now what they can get now?
It's a great question. I think if you're talking about a 2024 vehicle where there's an oversupply, so I don't have a CDJR store, so I can't necessarily speak to it, but I can tell you that I've seen some serious discounts on their brands that were further discounted than what you're talking about on that employee price. Are there vehicles that we've sold because we just need to get rid of them that may be below that A plan price? Yeah, maybe, not frequently. In a Ford scenario, you're talking about 10% or so from MSRP to this A plan price. And so you stack rebates on top of that. And that's kind of what Ford's done, because you've said on this A plan, it applies to both 25 F-150s and 24s. Well, 24s still have some incentive money on top of that, right? So you might have a couple $1,000s of rebates to delineate between a 24 F-150 and a 25. If you found a heck of a steal, could you get something between that 15 and 20% range? Yeah, you probably could. If a dealer's got a big oversupply of them, you may be able to. I think the big win on the employee pricing, at least for us Ford dealers, is that it's so transparent. I can turn an invoice around and show you that price, and it takes price off the table. Now we can get around to negotiating your trade, and what all the other factors of the car deal that I think you do such a good job of preaching to your audience to, work on, negotiate. It just takes one factor out of the communication, and it's Ford saying, "Hey, we're taking it down here." You don't have to worry about negotiating that anymore.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. I was actually surprised you were going to tell you that. That was that's good. That's very very insightful way to say it. If I were to give you credit there. So, do you feel like I was talking to Ray earlier from Car Edge, and he was saying that it kind of adds transparency to the deal, but in a way, the marketing is kind of misleading because you could have gotten a lot of these deals anyway beforehand. So it's confusing when we go in here and try and decipher it, and then try to explain it to a consumer that's going to be educated. And they're like, "Well, I could have just negotiated this thing to begin with." So anyway, but I feel like with this offer, it does allow dealers now the ability to maybe even get to that third pencil before the consumer even walks into the doors. Does that make it easier on your sales staff, I would assume?
I think it makes it easier on the sales staff. It makes it easier on the management staff, and we hope it makes it easier on the consumer, right? We price our vehicles to market, right? So if we've got 25s and they're 25 Expeditions and they've just hit the lot, that vehicle is probably going to have a little bit higher price on it than a 24 Expedition that we've had that's been through our courtesy transportation program, right? We try to price those things accordingly. Back up a little bit on the point that you made where you and Ray were talking about, would a dealer sell you a vehicle at an A plan price previously? Yeah, maybe. But it was going to be painful for them, right? Their cost is based off the invoice value of the vehicle, less any holdback that they're picking up. And typically A plan is much significantly discounted from that. So the employee price is further back of that. And then they're paying us effectively a delivery fee based off the price of the vehicle to do it. So it's making it easy for the dealers, and it's easier for the customers to transact at that level. So it should be a much lower friction transaction and a lower net sale price for the customer.
Finding the right person for the job shouldn't take you away from actually running your business. ZipRecruiter is designed to make hiring fast, efficient, and easy, so you can stay focused on what you do best. With one click, your job post goes out to millions of job seekers. ZipRecruiter's smart matching technology scans thousands of resumes and pinpoints the most qualified people for your role. It even invites them to apply instantly. You can also reach out to top candidates by using the Invite to Apply feature, which increases the chances that they'll respond. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of the 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. It's no surprise that ZipRecruiter is rated the #1 hiring site on G2 and helps 10 million job seekers every day. If you're hiring, go to ZipRecruiter.com/CQA to try it for free. You can also scan the QR code on the screen, click the link in the description, or just type in the URL. So what amount is Ford covering for you guys in that spread there? What are your kickback for being able to give the consumer this? Are they covering that spread from MSRP to whatever off of invoice, or are they just covering from invoice to whatever the employee discount is? What are they doing for you?
So on a previous A plan deal, a Ford a Ford employee or a Ford retiree would have to come in with a PIN and we would have to verify that information. Now we are just allowed to transact at that A plan price that's on the invoice. They will pay us a delivery fee effectively for that. That's based off the price of the vehicle. The stipulations in there is that we can actually sell below A plan price if we need to. I think you've already seen some dealers that have gone below it. But again, there may be funny business in some of that. I don't know. We're trying not to participate in any of that. So we're just selling them to you right at A plan, and based off the price of the vehicles, based off any incentive that we're going to earn for doing it. But it's a volume game. It's not a large delivery fee, but that's okay. We're a volume dealer. We're trying to transact and keep the flywheel rolling. I think I've heard some of your videos. You talk about being a volume dealer on the used car side. We're trying to do the same thing on the new car side.
Yeah. So what have you started to see some customers roll in? I know when I went into this Jeep store this morning, I said, okay, I heard you guys were doing employee price, and tell me what it is. They knew what was going on. They were ready to tell me. So I know that I'm not the first customer that walked in the doors that's heard this headline and say, okay, tell me what you can do for me. Are you getting a lot more foot traffic because of this marketing?
Yeah, another great question. We've seen our lead volumes are up substantially month over month. I think you've had a little bit of a rush to kind of sell down your current inventory, right? So that's what Ford is, I think, pushing, is trying to use this as a way to get what they've produced and on dealer lots sold. But yes, we've seen foot traffic up and demand is up substantially. What percentage of those customers end up closing the deal and transacting, I think is to be determined, just because we're a week out from the announcement. But we have seen our new call volumes pick up substantially. And I think the other interesting thing is what's going to happen to used car prices as a result, right? I think that there's another leg of this conversation that not a lot of people are talking about. I think you do a pretty good job detailing on your channel, but yeah, the short answer is yes. We've seen a spike in demand, and we're excited about the ability to sell down our inventories. As you mentioned, day supply had gotten a little high. We got to do a good job of thinning out the inventory we got.
So what would you rather sell right now? Would you rather sell a 2025 or a 2024?
For all of your listeners, we would rather sell our 24s and sell those suckers out. And that way we can work down the 25s. Ford has some non-qualifiers on this A plan deal. The new Expedition, the new Navigators don't qualify, but almost everything else does. 25 Super Duties do not. But 24 Super Duties do. So, if you're a big, heavy truck user, or you're in the contracting business, the odds of you ever buying a Super Duty at A plan price were pretty low, unless you had a friend in the business. And so that's an opportunity I'd be jumping on. If I was a subcontractor that was looking to upgrade my fleet, that's probably the best deal out there.
Yeah, and also anything with a Raptor badge it doesn't qualify, correct?
Just qualified. Any specialty units, yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I go to a lot of these Ford lots, specifically in my area, and I want to know if it's I won't say a problem right now with this marketing, an opportunity for you would be my question. Most of the time, it's probably 80% of the trucks that I see on these Ford lots right now are 2024s. My question to you is, do you know what the percentage breakdown of 2024s versus 2025s that you actually have on your lot right now?
We've done a pretty good job of it, being ahead of it. At last look, I had about 50 24s. And I think I looked regionally the other day. Most of that supply, I think almost 70% of that supply is going to be in your STX and XLT inventory, maybe some Lariats in there. There's much fewer King Ranch Platinum higher end Lariats, and that's because Ford's had 2.9% financing prior to this in the prior months. So I think people that were looking for higher end trims grabbed them up, and so there may be fewer of those out there.
So it's for a lot of these Ford dealers then that sat on a lot of these trucks, and now you're seeing a lot of foot traffic. Let's get into, I feel like you guys are a good dealership, transparent about what you're doing. But let's look at some of these other Ford dealers that still have a lot of these crazy add-ons. I went This might actually blow your mind. I did a video about a week and a half ago on a 2024 Ford Bronco. There was a dealership that had a $10,000 market adjustment on this thing. And beside of this Ford Bronco, they had 5 or 6 other 2024 Ford Broncos sitting right next to it. That blows my mind. But I'm just highlighting a bad dealership versus what I think the operation you run. What are some of the loopholes with this marketing strategy that you feel like some dealers might take advantage of? One thing that I like to point out is that it almost doesn't matter what the manufacturer wants to do with their MSRPs, because dealers have the power to price their vehicles at whatever. They just call it something unique. They'll call it a lift kit. They'll call it a $5,000 wheel upgrade. They'll call it even a market adjustment. You're just paying for extra air. Oh, and nitrogen. You're actually paying for air. They'll do stuff like that. What are some of the loopholes that you can see some of the bad actors that are going to take advantage of with this, that the consumers that we're trying to talk to right now, what they need to look for to avoid?
Yeah, so you do a great job of highlighting some of those things in the videos I've seen of yours. And so the things I'd be mindful of, you're going to be helped out by this A-plan pricing. So part of Ford's audit with their dealers is they're going to come back and make sure that we don't sell above A-plan price. So if we sell above that employee price, that would be any hard ad would have to be itemized. That includes any accessories, so a level kit, wheels, tires, or anything else that might be more like wheel locks or some of the other nitrogen, some of the other stuff that you see that's out there. Mop and glop or whatever, however anybody else wants to refer to it. That's not a business that we run in. But we do accessorize trucks though, right? So you'll find I've got trucks out there that have got level kit and tires on it. And what we would have to do is we'd sell that to you at A-Plan, and then we would have an agreed to price for what those add-ons were going to be. We would have to itemize those on that, kind of A-Plan form that Ford's going to audit with us. And that way it's 100% clear, transparent pricing, and you know what you're paying for. If you roll this back a month ago, before they had the employee pricing, or even a week ago, that level of transparency didn't have to be in the transaction. So if there's something, if you're looking at buying an upfitted or an accessorized truck, now's a pretty good time to do it, because you can have that conversation about what those add-ons are really worth.
Yeah. So do you guys have a Jeep Dodge Ram dealership under your dealership group?
We do not. I've got some friends that are in that business, but I do not.
And I've got a buddy who is a Nissan franchise manager, and something that he's talked to me about quite a bit is that, okay, there's no margin in Nissans anymore. Like, he's not making any money selling new cars, and try to work it out in the back end, let his finance managers get after it, try to make a little money there, make money on a dock fee, make money on service. But they've basically become a glorified used car dealership. And a lot of Stellantis, if you've got buddies that run Stellantis dealerships, that's what I'm hearing from them as well. So tell me then, when you're selling these vehicles and this back of invoice, I know you're saying that Ford is making you whole, but when the margins are so thin, and we're getting back to the volume game, sounds like you guys are a volume dealer anyway, but over the last 4 years, dealerships have not had to play this volume game. And that's not traditionally what the car market looks like, right? You don't make money on the new car. You make money from the manufacturer. You make money from dock fee. You make money from repair, like service. That's where. What are some of the ways that you guys can actually make money, since you're not making a lot of money on the front end, especially with these new deals, new incentives? Because I have a feeling as the market gets worse, as whatever fear we have working through the market, if we have price increase, whatever, I feel like the environment is going to get worse for new car dealers. Maybe you have a different opinion on that. That's my opinion. But let's say the environment does get worse. What are some of the levers you guys can pull to still make the amount of money you need to make?
Well, man, that's a loaded question. We obviously are in this business to make a profit. That's what we got to do to pay all of our employees. We've got about 400 employees here across our 6 stores, and we're proud of that fact. And we don't hide that we're in the business for a profit. But as you know, running a store, you sell some at a loser and some at a winner, and it really depends on what the demand curve for each one of those models looks like. We're willing to take a loser on a lot of kind of maybe the oversupply vehicles. And I think you may continue to see some of that if the economy continues to get soft. We view the entire lifetime value of a customer. If somebody walks through our door, I want to keep them for life. I want them to come back and service with us. I want them to buy their, if they've got a kid that's growing up, I want them to buy their 16-year-old or 17-year-old child their vehicle here. We really do view that holistic relationship. And so if I don't make any money selling you a car on the first transaction, hopefully I'll earn the right to earn a profit, either servicing your car or the next time you trade it in with me. And so we try not to view anything transactionally. It's more relationship based. And I think, we've been around a long time. We've been around 112 years. And one thing we talk about is every decision we make, we want to make sure it lasts the test of the next 112 years. So we got to have a business model that plays into the future. So we are taking care of our customers, taking care of anybody that comes and does business with us. And it's our job to be here for the long run. It isn't my job to go, make $5,000-$10,000 on any one transaction. That ain't gonna keep me around for a long time, and it doesn't keep me relevant, right? People talk, people figure that stuff out, and do we get it right all the time? Absolutely not. But we are going to try to view the entire relationship. If you have a problem with us, come grab me or one of our other executives, and we're going to try our best to make it right. But I think it just goes back to business mind and philosophy, Brandon.
Yeah, one thing I heard you say the other day on a when you're on Car Edge was that you guys look at the situation that you're in and you try to come up with plans that are 10 and 50-year plans and not just short-term kind of things. I think you used the word, is this a 10-year plan or not? And the thing that a lot of dealers went through over the last few years where you see the market adjustments. I know you said that you guys never participated in any of that, and I commend you greatly because you could have, right? But then I mean, we look right now and the amount of negative equity that consumer has on that F-150 that they paid that $15,000, that $20,000 market adjustment. Well, one, they're never shopping at that dealership ever again, and two, that dealership probably lost Ford a customer for the next for the next purchase, and even probably the purchase after that one. So I think it's very good what your dealership's doing, what your dealership has done over the last 4 years, and I think Ford would be happy of how you run your dealers. Of course, Ford's happy with you because you said you're a volume dealer, so they want to pump you as many vehicles as possible. So.
Yeah, they want to continue to stick more on our lots. I appreciate you saying that. We certainly try to do it the right way. Like I said, we drop the ball sometimes too. But yeah, I think you've got to have a mentality of we're here for the long term. And customers figure it out, right? I know you mentioned F&I products and selling and playing stuff for the back end. We try to make sure we review almost every one of our car deals to make sure that we stay within the guidelines and we're doing it correctly and we're quoting everybody the same thing all the time. Because I think it's real easy in this business to get out around and start chasing profit. And we try not to do that. We try to make sure we're doing it the right way. But and the other piece of all that is, F&I products are cancelable, right? So warranties and refinancing your rate and all that type of stuff. So you can get out around pretty quickly in this business if you're booking all that as potential profit, and the customer could cancel on you down the road. So we need to make sure we're taking care of our customers from Jump Street all the way through the life of the relationship, because otherwise I don't think you'd be around too long.
So with all the uncertainty that we have in this market currently right now, what, in your opinion, if you had to single out one thing, what is the biggest thing that you're concerned with the market going forward as it pertains to just your store?
Boy, man, there's a lot of things that keep me up at night. Affordability is still a real conversation. And I think relative to where rates are now, none of us can control what the Fed's going to do or what what the banks are going to do. We're not the bank. We tell that to our customers all the time. But you mentioned negative equity. There's a large portion of negative equity out there in the market right now. Customers that overpaid for vehicles, they're coming back in and they've either got to trade them in or something's changed in their life, right? Their family's growing and they got to get a bigger car. and a percentage of negative equity, our loan to values have gone up over the last couple of years. That's no secret. I think you can pull that at any publicly financial data to see it. So I think that's it. I think it's affordability and making sure that we're not eating up too much disposable income for somebody to be making a car payment. You know, I mean, that comes right out of somebody's spending cash. And when I see new car payments jumping up, I think NADA cited it as high as $700 on average recently. I mean, that's a big number. And I don't care how much money they print. That's a lot for any one family or household to be coming off of. And so we got to make sure the reliability and the quality are there, and the cost of ownership is low enough that it's not going to squeeze people out of our market.
Yeah. So, well, I can tell you, I am absolutely rooting for you guys, because I need you franchise dealers to move more cars so you can get more trade-ins, so you can send them to the auction, so my prices go down, because there ain't nothing at the auctions anymore. It's getting sad.
Can I ask you a question about that? So we don't buy at the auction. We try to take all of our vehicles in at trade. I saw your last video where you said the auctions really were drying up. What are you doing to source vehicles? Have you changed anything, or are you just trying to wade through it?
So right now, we just went through tax time. I had 150 something cars, and then so we're a month and a half after tax time. I've got 7 cars for sale.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long?
Since last tax time, we empty out every tax time. So I'll buy a lot. Traditionally, I'll keep 90 cars at my lot throughout the year. But for tax time, I like to have about double that. I didn't make it this year, but because I know like our niche is $5,000 and under, and we'll sell that's tax refund.
Yep.
Check money right there, right? So we'll sell everything, and then I'll go on vacation from buying cars for a couple weeks because all these other dealers, for whatever reason, it surprises them every year, and then they rush to the auction and they pay ridiculous prices, and then I'll wait for this mini crash that happens in wholesale prices every year after tax time, and then I'll go back in and I'll fill my lot back up. We're not back there yet. We did buy 15 this past week, so it looks like it's getting a little bit better, but still there's not very many cars at the auction. What we'll end up having to do if we can't service what we need to do for our inventory in the few auctions that we go to, I'll go to more auctions and I'll have to travel. And we've done that before. I don't want to do it again. But if you guys can't sell cars, then it forces me to. So
yeah, no, well,
so I'm rooting for you.
You see increased transport costs, and your reconditioning probably gets a little bit more variable. That's interesting. I was watching your channel earlier, and that was something that struck me as really interesting. I've heard the same thing from all the auctions, is that the quality of the vehicles are continue to deteriorate, and that the prices has been spiking too.
Yeah, prices are definitely up. They should be coming down now on the wholesale level, but it's all going to depend on what you guys are able to sell through, and it depends on what the tariffs are going to do.
Well, listen, for anybody that is watching, do a little shameless plug. It's jclewis.com. I made the same commitment to the Car Edge guys. We will take $1,000 back of a plan for anybody that wants to buy a new Ford. And I'll put that towards either your plane ticket to fly down here and pick up a vehicle from us, or put it on a transporter for you to get it there. And so if anybody's watching and they want to just say they saw us on the podcast and they'd like us to get them a quote, they'd be happy to take a look at our used cars too. But that delivery offers for any new Ford that qualifies under that A-plan pricing. But I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, and definitely go check these guys out. I'll put a link to their website down in the description below. And if you are a manager at any store, sales, finance, if you're a GM at any other manufacturer, franchise store, I would love to talk to you also, just like this conversation right here. If you can be transparent, I feel like he was very transparent about what's going on. That's why I would absolutely recommend their store. Go in there, see what they got, and you get a $1,000 coupon. The Car Questions Answered coupon is for your brand new Ford. So, Julian, thank you so much for coming on with me. I hope you guys sell through all your cars, and then you get me some trade-ins.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate the opportunity. Hopefully I can come back and be a friend of the pod.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll check in with you in a month or so and see what the sell-through rate was for all those leads that came in.
Right on. Appreciate the car questions answered, community. Take care.
Yeah, man.